So the next bird we'll talk about is Cheers. And Cheers has been a fascinating story over the years. She was hatched at Swan Lake, also Swan Lake, in 2009. You can see we've got 3 different birds that were hatched at Swan Lake here. It's in kind of a production mecca down there. So she became the territorial female in 2017. But there's a big story about Cheers that happens before that. We didn't know what her name was before that. We found her on North Bonaparte Lake in August of 2015 with this mass of fishing net. There was a swivel and some monofilament line wrapped around this. And we just couldn't believe that the bird could function this way. The bird was constantly pulling at this, trying to free itself from this terrible thing that had developed. And we were just absolutely mortified when we saw the same bird 1 year later still in the same condition on North Bonaparte Lake. It had somehow migrated in this condition to somewhere where it doesn't freeze. And everybody here knows that Bonaparte Lake freezes big time. And so the loon had to be elsewhere. But it showed back up there a year later, and it was starting to become weak. And we decided we had to intervene. It beached itself. It crawled up on top of these cattails in Little Bonaparte on May 4 or May 6th.
April 6th. Or May, oh yeah, that May 4, there you go.
Yeah, 2016. And we just coincidentally had a veterinarian with us at the time who had flown all the way out from Portland, Maine to come visit us for a while and see what our loons were doing out here. And we had no idea that this loon veterinarian was going to be called into action along with Ginger. Her medical expertise really helped out here. The loon was in a failing condition. It was starting to have trouble maintaining its buoyancy in the water. We thought that it might drown before too long. It realized this and so crawled up on something where it could actually have buoyancy and flotation. It stayed there. We figured it would stay there for quite a while, so we went back into the campground there at Bonaparte Lake, and we asked people if they had a large fishing net. We went from tent to tent, trailer to trailer. We finally found somebody that had a large fishing net. We jumped back in the boat and we came out here, and the bird was still there in Little Bonaparte Lake. And so here's Ginger on the bow of our boat, and I'm moving in closer and closer very slowly. And the bird is so weak that it doesn't even try to get away. We captured it. We put it back in the boat, and you can see the ulceration here that is developed on the leg in this situation here. You can see the mass of the fishing net totally wrapped around the bands, and we knew it was time to act. And so this is Dr. Popris. He has someone that in his lifetime has done 3,500 necropsies on common loons. That's where you take the loon apart and find out why it died. He's by far the expert in the world at loon necropsies. And Ginger, as you can see here, had an extensive medical history, so the two of them decided it was time to intervene. We're going to do a little bit of field veterinarian work. So here's what we had in the boat. We had no idea we were going to do this ahead of time. We had a pocket knife that was down in the bottom of the boat, a scissor, a bottle of hand sanitizer, and we figured that we had about less than $20 worth of surgical equipment with us. So Ginger and Mark did their magic. They were successful at removing the complications, and it turned out to be a great success story. So this is Dr. Popris and Ginger. Ginger's got the loon now. We took off one of my socks and put it over the head of the loon so it would calm down. Maybe there's a message there.
What's called anesthesia.
Okay. I dug my own grave on that one. But anyway, it was great to watch this and photograph this where medical people could actually really make a difference. This is what we took off the leg of the loon. We, of course, had to take the leg bands off. Got no use for those anymore. And we removed all of this complicated hardware. I think Ginger has that. We're on the table.
On the table.
that we collected.
The fishing line was embedded in the net, in the loon leg, down to the bone.
Oh.
And we had no antibiotics, nothing with us other than Purell. So we gave the loon a big dose of Purell, and Dr. Poker said, well, if this loon survives, I think we'll write it up in the medical veterinarian journal as doing field veterinarian work. Because if this loon, if we were to take it to PAWS or to some rehab, he said the percentage of loons surviving when they go to a rehab is not real high. So he said our best thing that we could do is quickly treat it and get the loon on a rehab lake. So that's where we're at here.
So we knew that Bonaparte Lake was a lake where there had been a lot of territorial fighting going on. Some of the territorial adults were changing on Bonaparte Lake. We knew that it was a high combat area for loons, so we decided to take this bird, who we haven't named yet, to a place where we had been seeing her, called Death Lake. So we put her in our Suburban, we drove down to Death Lake, and here we are about to release the bird. And as I put the lake in the water and it swam away, Dr. Poker said, "Cheers," which named the bird at that moment. It's just a dramatic moment to see a bird now free of the complication. It dove in the water at first, turned around and looked at us, and it was very thrilling to be able to do that. And the story of Cheers continues. One season later, a healthy Cheers is back at Death Lake.
So Dr. Poker said this is going to change wildlife veterinary medicine.
So we can see now that with photography, we're able to identify that there's just a single silver band on the left leg. We took the bands off the right leg. And so this bird, with only a single silver, is positively identified as being that bird and positively identified as being Cheers. She recognized us. It was very friendly to us. It swam over to us and under our boat. I captured this image as she was coming toward us. You can see the single silver band there left. This is the leg that was affected. You can see slight scarring on the leg there, and no bands, and of course none of the netting and swivel and fishing line that were there. So just a tremendous thing for us. So in 2017, she formed a nest, had a mate there at Death Lake. And we used a nesting platform because there aren't very good places at Death Lake for loons to nest. It's got a very steep shoreline and a minimum amount of really good marsh areas. So we heard that she had nested out there on the platform that we put out there, or the Forest Service had put out there. So we went to look at it, and we were just amazed at how the beavers had taken over this nest and had put a lot of their sticks and logs on there. There's actually a loon egg down in here. You can't even see it. And so we decided, well, it's time to act, and it's time to get rid of all of these logs, because loons can't crawl around very well. And to have all of these logs and sticks and so forth on the nest was just a big complication for a nesting common loon. So Ginger went about to push those things away and to free up the nest for the loon. So now you can see the nesting there is much clearer. We left some of the natural avian guards up there to dissuade eagles from landing. You can see the single loon egg out there in the nest hole on this platform. And this, of course, is Cheers. And Cheers is very friendly to us. It's almost like, you saved my life. I know who you are. And I'm comfortable in your presence. So there it is in 2017, the natural avian guards. The egg was normal in appearance. There was no cracks in it or anything. We didn't know what the outcome of this single egg would be. Cheers remained on this adult egg for about twice as long as normal. Normally it's 26 to 27 days. of incubation before the chicks will hatch. And she was on this nest for about 2 months. So they don't know any better, they don't have a calendar, but she eventually gave up on it. That was in 2017. So we heard that, yeah, Cheers might be back in 2018. So we went out to her former nest site on June the 7th in 2018 to see what had taken place. And we get there and we find no loons anywhere. A few sticks back up on the platform, and lo and behold, we find broken egg fragments in the nest bowl and the egg membrane, as you can see right here. So we figured there must have been some chicks that hatched here, but where are they? So we hunted and hunted. Finally, we went down to the far northwestern end of the lake.
Don't chase it.
Don't change it.
You know, one of the things that Dan and I have learned is we can evaluate the fragments of how many fragments and how they're spread out. If we've got 2 eggs or 1, and that one shows, for me, I would say it's 2 eggs.
And this is an abundance of broken shells. And some adults will try to take away all of those. They'll get rid of the membrane, they'll take it out into the lake and dispose of it. And they'll also try to get rid of the shells. We see them pulling the shells out of the nest bowl. It's just something instinctual for them to do.
But it's the little ones that you count, that you look at, that you have to judge. They don't know they're supposed to take that membrane out. We forgot to tell her.
After all, it's her first attempt in this. So,
Yeah, it's her first chick that hatched.
yeah. So we go to the other end of the lake and we found out that she has 2 chicks. We were so happy. We were just delighted. And we had to go to the far northwestern end of Death Lake. You folks that have been there know exactly where that is. The lake just gradually pinches down to nothing at the far end, and that's where they were. So we were so happy to see them there. And the story of Cheers has turned another page.
And, I want to make a comment here, and Jeff, I think this is pretty important. Beth and Beaver, as I mentioned before, it's really important that these chicks have enough prey. And Beth and Beaver, we suspect, don't really have a lot of fish for chicks, a small fry. There are some of these, what are they called, Jeff? Starts with an S. Yeah, shiners. But the loons take a long time in bringing up fish on both of these lakes in order to feed the chicks, much longer than other normal lakes. And also, this pair migrated. It wasn't even quite the end of August, and they were gone, and 1 chick left. And they left the smaller chick that couldn't quite fly yet. So it was there alone. And that's everybody, all the other lakes, other than Green and Beth, their chick is small too. Beth and Beaver are both small, or both need more fry. But you can evaluate it by how soon the adults leave, and you can even look at the chicks and see they're a little emaciated. But that was a real indication to us that those loons needed to leave in order to go to another lake to find enough prey to survive.